Good morning. I would like to call to the order the Pasco Board of County Commission 10 o'clock meeting on January 10th, 2023. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Okay, he's going to be on WebEx.
Okay.
He's on, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Waitman, we did not hear you. I wonder if there's audio.
May I ask, he will be joining the meeting, he can talk and do that, but he can't vote, is that correct?
No.
Keep us time.
No, under your rules, he can participate virtually if he is ill and doesn't wish to bring his illness into the chambers. You left that as an option in your procedural rules when we went from hybrid virtual to.
Right, but he can vote.
But he can vote, yes.
Okay,
It's
I
just-
didn't
it's
think
just-
he could, so.
You,
That illness is the one exception that you left in your procedural rules for a commissioner participating virtually
Okay,
in full capacity. The only difference is you have to have a roll call vote because he's not present.
right, okay.
But we need to get his acknowledgement
Yes.
that he's there.
Commissioner Waitman, if you could please try to unmute again.
there you go.
We hear you. Thank you. District 3, Commissioner Starkey. Here. District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Here.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Here. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any current or future agenda item coming before the board and on other business under the board's purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take the public comment from those who are here in person. Then we will take public comment from those who are pre-registered for a WebEx link and currently on queue. We request that when you address the board, comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or a team member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. After stating your name and address for the clerk, a 3-minute timer will be activated. After 2 minutes, a single beep will indicate you have 1 minute left. When your time is up, 2 beeps will sound, and you should close your comments. WebEx participants will be disconnected automatically when their time is up. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, I have one person who signed up in person, and I also have someone on WebEx. So we'll go ahead and do the citizen who's in person. John Tomsu.
Hello, Commissioners. John Tomsu, 26738 Wingdome Drive, Wesley Chapel, Florida, 33544. Before I begin, I'd like to submit this into the record.
Move to receive.
Receive and file.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, one of those is mine. So I just wanted to celebrate today, because I won't be here tomorrow, but tomorrow is the anniversary of the rezoning resolution 2225 Romeo Zulu. So on that resolution, the commissioners decided and voted against the rezoning of land in what's known as S19 in the Seven Oaks community. Unfortunately, that was reversed after a process was done where it got to come back before the board, not through normal channels where they had to wait a year, but instead got to go through special mediation. That mediation program resulted in some minor changes that the board at that time felt was significant enough to warrant the change in voting to allow the rezoning effort. We continuously see around the community, especially in the upcoming Saddlebrook area, opportunities where developers come in and they want to rezone areas of land. Rezoning is a very special process that I would hope that the board continues to check all the facts on before they allow that type of rezoning. Specifically, rezoning should be something that is necessary only for special circumstances. And I'm not talking about property owners who have a valid right to develop and do whatever is originally entitled for that land. What I'm talking about is the rezoning amendments that are required so that they can change that valid land use, especially for areas like Seven Oaks that have been around since originally 2001, development starting in 2004, people moving in. A lot of those residents still live there, and they bought into a community that was developed with a specific form and function, and that was supported through the rezoning efforts. However, through the existing zoning efforts. However, whenever a developer comes in, purchases 2 plots of land inside S19, knowing what that zoning is, and then requests to have it rezoned, there has to be a special reason, a special purpose behind it. In the past, we've had a lot of residents come out and support against the rezoning. And I would just hope that in the future, whenever we look at places like Saddlebrook and these communities that are currently in existence, that we always remember that the rezoning is something that's special. There has to be some urgent, dire need, an example of why it doesn't work to begin with before we allow that. So I really look forward to working with you guys in the future. Congratulations, Happy New Year. And also, if there is any type of possibility, I would ask for Resolution 2309 Romeo Zulu to be rescinded immediately so that it could be before the board for a regular vote instead of going through the previous process. So I
Mr.
appreciate your
Chairman,
time.
the time for reconsideration of that item has long since passed.
Yes, sir.
So there is no bringing it back up and rescinding the resolution at this point, unless the court in the current challenge decides that it was done improperly. That's the only way that unless the property owner seeks to downzone it, that it's going to come back to the board.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say that it never hurts to ask. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have an additional person that had come in and signed. I think the name is Marlene Mann. Is that correct? Thank you.
Hello, Marlene Mann, 39151 Woodland Drive, Zephyr Hills, Florida. I just want to go on record to say that I oppose the vacating of the petition to vacate portion of 3 platted rights of way by Blue Triton. I know it won't do any good, but I just speak on behalf of the neighborhood that used to be a nice quiet neighborhood of 16 homes, dead-end street. We're in the county, but right next door to us used to be Nestle's Zephyr Hills Bottled Water, now owned by Blue Triton. Our neighborhood was there before Blue Triton or Zephyr Hills Bottled Water was ever built. We tried back then, all the neighbors, to get this to occur outside the city limits because we are county, a dead-end street, and the bottled water plant is city. And we had always tried to get them to go outside of the city, but as it would be, they won, and the city wanted them. Now, in the 80s, when the housing depression came and people couldn't sell their homes, Nestle at that time wanted to expand. They tried to buy the ball fields from the city of Zephyr Hills. That didn't work out. That was on the north. So instead, they decided they would buy up all the homes they could on the other south end. And as they bought up 8 of 16 homes with the intent, I'm sure, to get rid of our neighborhood so they could expand. So that they bulldozed these homes down. So now we have them wanting to expand again. They're going to get rid of a lot of big oaks over 200 trees. They're going to bring this retention pond within 75 feet of our backyards, and also, which was our roadway, is now what they're wanting to take over is the side streets, the roadways. So it will be part of their property, and I'm sure the next step they will try is to bring it into the city limits. None of the neighbors want this. We don't want our peaceful neighborhood destroyed with mosquitoes close by, all the trees, big oaks disappearing, plus the big noise factor of the trucks, which are 24 hours a day, which will be right close to our backyards, and the big lights. That's all I have to say. I know there's probably not much hope because big city and big companies always win, but thank you for hearing me out as my objection.
Mr. Chairman, this item is a public hearing item this afternoon. Miss?
Ma'am? Please come back. to
This
the podium.
item is number 64 on the agenda. It's a public hearing this afternoon.
This afternoon?
1:30 or soon thereafter, yes.
Well, no, but all I saw was the 10 o'clock meeting, but thank you. What time is it?
1:30.
1:30, thank you.
Okay. And we have a WebEx.
I do. I have an individual on WebEx, Mr. Rob Park. You, it looks like you have been elevated, Mr. Park. You can go ahead and proceed. Please state your name and address for the record first.
Good morning, Rob Park, 9614 Aaron Cutoff, Land O'Lakes, Florida. Good morning, Commissioners. I oppose the suggestion made by this board that neighborhoods should have interconnecting roads for citizens to bypass the arterial roads. It is irresponsible for the leadership of this county to purposely create scenarios that would jeopardize citizens' safety, adding congestion and tragedies that are happening on major roads to our neighborhoods. I am not alone in my opposition. For example, all of these have been in the news. In Wesley Chapel, there was a dispute about through traffic between Meadow Point 2 and Meadow Point 3. Leonard Road in Lutz is a neighborhood road. The new developments are part of the increased traffic. The real culprit is that it connects US 41 to Sun Lake Boulevard, a way to bypass State Road 54. Jasmine Boulevard, a neighborhood road in Newport Richey, has a traffic problem because it connects US 19 and Little Road. Aaron Cutoff, a neighborhood road in Land O'Lakes, has a traffic problem because it connects State Road 52 and US 41. Harvard Parkway, neighborhood road, has a through traffic problem because citizens from Wilderness Lakes use a back road out of their neighborhood to bypass US 41. Other cities are turning on the redesigned Bell Lake Road using Collier Parkway to bypass State Road 54 and US 41 intersection. No doubt there are many other examples. What do you think is going to happen with traffic when the dozen or so apartment complexes nearing completion from Wesley Chapel to Trinity open? County leadership needs to come up with another plan. The emphasis needs to be on keeping arterial traffic on arterial roads. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay.
Disagree.
And that's all we have?
Disagree.
Okay. Is that all we have on WebEx?
That's all we have on WebEx.
Is there anyone else in the public who would like to address that didn't sign up already? Okay, that will close public comment. Now it's time for the resolutions. Madam Clerk, would you please read the first resolution, and would the recipient please approach the podium? This is for the San Antonio Lumber.
Yes, Mr. Thomas Schrader, San Antonio Lumber. All right, I'll go ahead and read the resolution first. Resolution number 23-049, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, congratulating Thomas Schrader on San Antonio Lumber Company's 100th anniversary with many years of support and dedication to the Pasco County community. Whereas San Antonio Lumber Company is one of the few businesses in East Pasco County that was started in the 1920s that is still in existence today in San Antonio, Florida. And whereas the Schrader family has run the business since 1923, and in 1929, Herman Schrader bought out J.P. Lynch and ran the business himself until 1937, when he turned the business over to his son, Arthur Schrader, who remained at the helm for 20 years. And whereas in 1957, the San Antonio Lumber Company was passed to Arthur Schrader Jr., who expanded the store and grew the business. Arthur Schrader Jr. headed regional agricultural pilot programs and forged an alliance with the Purina Chow Company. After his death in 1994, his son, Thomas Schrader, succeeded him as the current owner. And whereas, with over 40 years of experience at San Antonio Lumber Company, Thomas Schrader picked up where his father left off and has been dedicated to the employees, community, and towards the business's transformation. Thomas has adopted his father's conservative approach to operating the business while looking to the future for new opportunities and advancements to place the business more competitively in the market. And whereas Thomas's daughter, Sarah Schrader, joined the family business in 2012 after graduating from Stetson University and spending several years in other industries. Sarah currently serves as president of San Antonio Lumber Company and is looking to the future through innovation and change while keeping their fundamental values that have served them well. And whereas San Antonio Lumber Company's multi-generational family business is still humbly serving the community and construction trade and continues to play a vital and interesting role while forging unique and remarkable relationships to become the people's choice. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby congratulates Thomas Schrader of San Antonio Lumber Company's 100th anniversary with many years of support and dedication to the Pasco County community. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of January 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Stay right there,
Wait,
stay right there.
This is your day in court.
Commissioner Oakland.
We congratulate you on 100 years in this business. I know your grandfather probably ran it before your dad and on, but it's been a good business and continues to do good business. I built my first home buying material from San Antonio Lumber back in the 70s. I'm building my last home right now, finished up buying my materials from San Antonio Lumber, and have done other homes and other projects with my company and my family over the years. So many different ways that we've been able to use your company and get what we need for our building construction needs. So I congratulate you on today. Not many companies last 100 years, so I mean, they don't have anybody to take over or whatever, they're sold or gone. But thank you for all y'all have done for our community and East Pasco County and working with us. So we certainly appreciate you. And I would like for you to speak to your business over the 100 years. Tom, you may want to start, and Sarah can finish.
I only talk about the last 50 because I've been there. But we are the largest independent lumber company in East Pasco County, and the only one, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, at the moment, there's other, but we've been there a long time. Had a lot of great customers over the years, a lot of good employees that's been there. Some have been there 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
All the family's been involved with the business at one time or another. My grandfather over on the wall, Teddy over on the wall, they were both county commissioners and they were involved in the business at some time or another. My brother Terry and his wife were over here, they were Laura. We all been in that business somewhat, always helped out one way or the other, whether it was unloading the car lumber. We used to get lumber in there on cars, unloaded by hand. Or by sand, we get cars and unload it with a shovel. Those days are all gone, you know. But thank God. But No, we're just glad to be able to still be here, and we have about 22 employees now, and they've all been there for many, many years.
Yeah.
That's a big tribute to make to our good things too.
Sarah?
Oh, you want me to speak?
Absolutely.
You only get 3 more minutes there.
We just want to thank you for acknowledging our business, and we appreciate it, and that's pretty much
Well,
it.
I personally, I appreciate your family, and I've used San Antonio lumber for 50 years, so basically about the time Tom's been there that whole time, so. But it's been a joy to do business with y'all and your family, and you've been a great asset for the community, so.
Thank you very much.
Any
Appreciate
other
it.
commissioners like to say anything, or?
Go ahead. Commissioner Starkey?
I've never shopped there, I'm sorry.
Well, you should come in. We got a new storeroom.
But any business that can survive that long, that's fantastic, so congratulations.
Commissioner Bradford?
I just want to say congratulations to you. I'm only 34, so I can appreciate the longevity in your business, but well done.
Thank
Should
you.
be proud.
Commissioner Waitman?
Thank you. Something unique about Stanton Lumber, you come in with a large enough project, you'll receive a handwritten thank you note from Mr. Schrader, so that's something unique to the business, and I thought it was pretty special that you don't get from anywhere else.
Well, congratulations on 100 years, a tremendous accomplishment. Your family's done a great service for this county, made it better and better, so we greatly appreciate you, and congratulations.
If the other commissioners would come down with me, we'll take a picture, and I'll present the certificate.
And we have next resolution, RS2.
Thank you. Is someone here for the National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month? If you could please come to the podium. Very good. I will go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution number 23-048, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, declaring the month of January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month and January 11th, 2023 as National Human Trafficking Awareness Day in Pasco County. Whereas human trafficking is a crime against a person whereby through exploitation an individual is compelled to work or engage in a commercial sex act that through force, fraud, or coercion, thereby being stripped of his or her rights and humanity. Traffickers typically use multiple means to control their victims, including beatings, rape, isolation, forced drugs, alcohol dependency, withholding of documentation, and psychological and emotional abuse. And whereas the International Labor Organization conservatively estimates that there are over 49.6 million victims of human trafficking worldwide, and that this crime is second only to the illegal drug trade in terms of the speed of its growth and the profits that it generates, as human beings can be sold repeatedly. And whereas human trafficking has been reported in all 50 states, Florida consistently ranks third in the nation in the number of calls made to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. 3,587 cases of human trafficking are reported to the NHTH from Florida between 2016 and 2020. And whereas human trafficking is occurring in Pasco County, through the Pasco County Commission on Human Trafficking, our community has united to combat this horrific crime and restore dignity to survivors by bringing together the sectors deemed critical to effectively combating human trafficking, such as law enforcement, schools, child welfare, nonprofits, businesses, faith-based organizations, survivors, etc. And whereas, despite these dedicated local efforts, more awareness, education, and advocacy are needed to eradicate human trafficking. Every resident of Pasco County is called upon to declare that the exploitation of people for profit has no place in our world, and that we need to work together to restore freedom, dignity, and justice to all. And whereas January is annually declared as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and January 11th as National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares January 2023 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month in Pasco County, Florida, and that all citizens be encouraged to participate in education, awareness, and advocacy and prevention efforts to combat human trafficking. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting this 10th day of January 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Starkey.
Yes, welcome here this morning. You know, it's just unbelievable that we're talking about slavery and human trafficking in this day and age. And to know that it's occurring here in Pasco County, it's just heartbreaking. So I'm really glad that we're bringing attention to this important issue. And everyone needs to be vigilant and keep your eyes open for someone who's being trafficked. So would someone from your group like to speak?
Good morning, members of the board. Brian Hoban, Director of Community Services. I want to first take a minute and thank the board for the continued support for the Pasco County Commission on Human Trafficking. This board is comprised of community members and subject matter experts that do a phenomenal job of combating human trafficking and educating our community. I also want to just take a second to acknowledge and thank Tracy Toner, our misdemeanor probation manager. She is our county liaison for this board. And lastly, just let the board know that we are very excited to have a commissioner as a new board member very soon. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, so take a photo. Anyone else want to say
One more,
anything?
before we go, I know Commissioner Oakley served on this for quite a while.
I've served with the board probably 4, not the last 2, but for the first 4 years I was on board, and y'all have done a great job. It's an eye-opener to me to all that goes on in our community, that I can tell you without your group and our Pasco County and community and surrounding area, it would be worse than it is, even though it's still something we got to keep tugging at and working at to get done. Y'all have done a great job and making a lot of headway on doing away with human trafficking in Pasco County. So I certainly appreciate that, and all those, I think it's sometimes made national history basically reaching out as far as they did with the things y'all carried on in your organization and been able to do against human trafficking. So, job well done.
And Commissioner Bradford, who I will be appointing later on to this committee, what would you like to say?
Good morning. There is no more vile crime than human trafficking. It's a vile, hideous disease that our society can't seem to fix until now. We have to make a difference in Pasco County. In a previous life, in a previous career, I was out there fighting that fight, one victim at a time, one situation at a time. God blessed me with a different role. Hopefully I can make a difference here in that exact same fight. Proud to know Kelly. She's brought a new perspective to my life and career in this particular area. Reemphasized why I got into this job. So well done. Looking forward to being part of your team and let's go get it done. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, thank you, Commissioner Starkey, for recognizing the efforts of this group as a dad to a young little girl and 1-year-old little boy. Parenting has changed, and times has changed, what parents need to look out for, and what we need to be aware of. So appreciate you all doing what you do for our community and being there for those folks to help in a pretty awful situation.
Thank you. And like I say, I appreciate all your efforts, your work, your willing to serve, and your enthusiasm to serve on this committee as well. The board members as well as you board members. For someone who raised 2 girls, my most important thing was protecting those girls every step of the way. So the ones that are struggling, boys as well, it's something that we're glad you're focusing on, and we all give all the support we can. So thank you.
All right, let's take our photo.
Okay, folks, right here first, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Great work. Seth looks like I did on December 26th. Seth, do you have that cold and cough that's going around? It's miserable.
Well, I feel like it.
Yeah, I had it. I'm still coughing, but I'm not contagious.
She's sitting next to me, too.
I'm not contagious. No longer have a fever.
Thank goodness.
I appreciate you staying home, Seth, and I'm glad you're in with us, though.
Thanks, Seth.
No, I appreciate y'all accommodating. I didn't feel right coming in, especially with the fever and making it worse.
No, it's the right thing to do, and we're glad we accommodated for sickness to make this happen.
But if you don't feel good, please don't stay on. We have a very light agenda.
It'll be pretty quick.
Yeah. Don't feel it yet.
Actually, there may be a topic you want to hear a little bit about. All right, so the consent agenda is coming up. I've got 2 items. C49 is withdrawn. C28, I've pulled it for discussion.
See, which one did you pull, Jeff?
C28.
28.
Is that the park?
Dredging.
Dredging.
So any other items to be pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, give a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, we're going to roll call vote, sorry.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman. District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. And C28 was pulled just because in an abundance of caution, as talking to my county attorney, as well as my own, that I should abstain from C28, so.
Because you own property that could be served by this project is the reason for abstention.
I appreciate that, thank you. Okay, so, any discussion or motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say
Is it roll call?
Roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
I abstain. Okay, that brings us to miscellaneous business. Commissioner Oakley.
Oh, getting on that quick, don't I?
Fast today.
My first thing on my list here, I'd like to reappoint Jean Nathy to the Commission on Status of Women. Her first appointed, she was first appointed in December 10th, 2019, and has expired.
Okay.
So I'll make that motion now.
So motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Support.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye.
Okay, the next item I have, probably you're aware of all the tree cutting and all that, because our facilities department had taken down a couple oak trees off the property, and yesterday and today, the city of Dade City are taking 2 big trees down here on the west side next to 7th Street, and they're doing that and taking it down. But something of very much importance that started yesterday is the people showed up to start looking at the electrical lighting and the placement of the fallen officer memorial, and that's going on as we speak today too. So it takes about, I first heard it took about 90 days to complete, so without any delays and all, so 3 or 4 months, we hope to see that memorial out on the front lawn on the corner next to Meridian and 7th Street.
Looking forward to that.
Yep, it's been a long wait. Many people have been waiting like 9 years to get that done, so.
Well, your help and contributions are greatly appreciated, so thank you for that.
Yeah, so we have a lot of citizens that look forward to that being placed there, so support of our law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's all?
that's all.
Okay. Commissioner Starkey?
Wow, so fast. So I have one photo to share. I was excited to go to my first inauguration. I've been invited before, but I've never gone, so. And I was able to get a seat, unlike the president of Publix and the Speaker of the House. So that's my friend Sarah and I. And I ran into a lot of legislators, so I was able to do some lobbying while there on certain things, so that was good. I did want to mention that, okay, you can take that mention, thank you. You know, we have this boat cover lawsuit going on. I went by boat to the Hudson Marina yesterday for lunch, and I saw some new illegal covers, and I was kind of wondering where the lawsuit is on that, if you had it off the top of your head.
We are about to respond to their initial pleadings.
I bring it up because I have friends who are commissioners in those counties that were affected by the hurricane, and I was told that those covers, Jack, you can investigate this, that they became missiles and damaged nearby boats. One boat owner had to go out in the middle of the hurricane and retie his boat because the metal punched through his boat and put a hole in it and started to sink. And it cost him $25,000 worth of damage to his boat that he has to pay for it. Because when it's an act of God, then your homeowner's insurance doesn't kick in. And we saw this in Gulf Harbors when we had some little tornadoes come through and someone's porch roof came off and damaged the roofs on my street, 2-3 blocks away. The homeowners whose roofs were damaged by their screen porch, they had to eat the cost, the homeowners. And so even those boat covers that are illegal cause damage to nearby properties. So I just want to bring that up. Also, I'm getting emails on short-term rentals, and I know it's been a bear to tackle, but I think we have to face the music and do something because we have thousands and thousands and thousands of short-term rentals in the county, and that are unregulated because we just kind of turn a blind eye to them. So, Commissioner, Chairman, I just suggest that sometime this year we have a workshop. I talked to the administrator about this and deal with the bear in the room of short-term rentals. And,
If I could, Madam Commissioner Starkey?
Yeah.
Maybe we can even just do it on a regular agenda item that comes up on a lighter agenda coming up, that we can actually have a discussion on it and allow a certain amount of time, whatever we need to
however you
discuss
want to
it.
do it, but I think, I tried to tackle it when I was chair of the TDC. It's kind of strange. We try and collect all the money, the bed tax, but it's illegal. So we're just in this area that we shouldn't be in.
And I think
we need to do it right.
And I think with two new commissions, it's a good discussion to have to get fully
Yeah.
vetted on it as well.
And
So-
then I drove down 41 the other day, and I think I saw some new vehicle storage facilities that weren't there previously, and I just want to say, we passed that, we did that moratorium, and we passed the rules on the dealerships, and we need to get a handle on this, and I don't know how we're going to go back and enforce that, but we need to have a plan. It may have to wait till next year's budget, but somewhere we have to start addressing the illegal used car dealerships and storage facilities. Thank you.
Commissioner Bradford?
I have a couple of items, Mr. Chair. First one's the appointment of Kaylee Cooney to the Pasco County Library Advisory Board, or reappointment, I should say. After speaking with Kaylee the other day, she is very passionate about the public library system, and she is engaged on their board right now, and she wants to continue in that board. So we're going to reappoint her. I guess we need a roll call vote for that, or not?
Do a motion first?
Second.
Motion? Okay, and we have a second. Now roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Support.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
Second item is also an appointment. It's to the Rod Lincoln to the Village of Pasadena Hills Planning and Policy Committee. Thank you. I wish to reappoint Ron to the VOPH Planning and Policy Committee. Ron's experience and specialized knowledge has been a great asset, and I'm convinced he will continue to serve the community well. So I'd like to renominate him to serve on that.
Okay. Motion and a second, roll call?
Yep.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye.
Okay, one more appointment. Appointment of Sandy Graves to the Commission on the Status of
Okay.
Women.
Yay. Second.
We all know Sandy.
Everybody knows Sandy. So anyway, Sandy Graves is my pick for the status of Commission on the Status of Women. So, yeah.
Now, do I have a motion and a second, roll call?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye.
I guess the last one is congratulations. We got a couple of pictures to put up. What is it? We do?
What's,
2 pictures? There we go.
oh, there you go.
There we go. That's Station 20, the groundbreaking for Station 20.
Hey.
Commissioner Oakley and the chair and myself were there. That's my first time speaking at the podium in the dirt. That was my first groundbreaking. That was good. Good for me. And I got wise advice from Commissioner Oakley. He says, don't screw it up. So I didn't.
I didn't say that.
And so it was, I did want to know, I wanted to thank all the past commissioners for getting this funded and approved. It looks like it's gonna be a great design, and it's gonna serve the citizens of Pasco County well.
Where is that one located?
That's over on Little Ranch Road. If you go to Shady Hills Road on 52, take a right, going down couple of miles or so and then turn on Little Ranch Road. The old station's right there. It's only 2 bay.
Okay.
This new station, 20, will be 4 bay.
Wow.
And each bay is 90 feet long, so they could hold up to 8 large fire trucks parked back to back.
Nice.
So, I mean, I just want to add that part to it.
Absolutely.
So,
And I've got
it's a good
the,
report.
I've got the pleasure of, I'll be doing my first get in the fire truck, spending a shift with them. It's on the calendar, so I'm gonna get in the trucks and do what I said I was gonna do when I got elected, is find out all the jobs that the men and women in our government do. So I'm gonna get in that fire truck. So I'd just like to thank everybody for being a part of that.
All right. Commissioner Starkey again?
Yes, I forgot something. Are you done? I don't want to take you.
I am done, ma'am.
I forgot to mention, and you'll hear about it again, that the International Committee of the PEDC is going to start an annual event called International Day. Well, there's more to it, but I don't remember the full title right now. But we will be celebrating our companies and our international businesses in the county. And we will be recognizing them on February 21st at the BOCC meeting in Newport Richey, and then we'll be having a reception that you'll all be invited to afterwards. We figured that this first year will be smaller, but our hope is to build it into a 1 or 2 day event, and really celebrate our international ties.
Excellent. All right, Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you. Best for last, right?
You got it.
I've got 2 items today. One for miscellaneous passenger to the Friends of the Library Board. She's been a fantastic board member for a number of years, and she's really committed to our public library system. So I'm hoping to receive a second to reappoint her to the library board.
Second?
Okay, and roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Okay. Got it, Commissioner?
My second, thank you, and my, thank you, board members, for your support there. And my second topic is a discussion on the build for rent community. It's more of a policy discussion, and as I'm learning about the build for rent communities and what they bring into our county, I'd like to see that they have the same standards as our single family product act. Just want to make sure that it's a quality that these projects come into quality projects, that they're held to the standards minimum that you might be in the crowd, even though we out here, I'm a little jumbled up. There's a memo that came out last year outlining the requirements for single family, and staff has recognized that the design standards for these built-to-rent communities need to be on the same playing ground. So I'm hoping to create some dialogue on this topic and maybe our support to expedite the same standards for built-to-rent communities and their single-family product.
Well, Commissioner Waitman, I'm glad you brought it up. I was talking with Commissioner Administrator Carbella, don't want to give you a pay cut there, Mike, about it just yesterday, and we did talk about that, so let's have a little dialogue on that if we could. Mike, you had some great concerns that you wanted to bring up?
I'm going to have Terry Pitos come and speak to the matter.
Okay. Commissioner Waitman, it was a great thing to bring up today because today's a day we actually can have a good discussion without having to worry about what's coming up for a time clock, so.
All right.
Mr. Pitos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Victorios Pitos, Planning and Development Department. So, yes, last year, the Board of County Commissioners worked with the development community to craft a memo, a policy memo that would direct staff to include conditions of approval within a master plan unit development zoning district that would regulate the appearance of, or at least establish architectural monotony controls for single-family detached houses. And this was particularly related to the case for if you recall, the 40-foot wide lots that are often proposed, and also the 50-foot wide lots. In any event, we established the criteria in hand with the developer, with the development community, brought it forward to the Board of County Commissioners, and some adjustments were made by the various commissioners. And then we issued that memorandum, and since, I would say March or April of last year, we've been implementing those conditions of approval in the MPUDs. Then there was a discussion at the August 24 Board of County Commissioners meeting 2022, in which I think was one of the first times that the build-to-rent question rose from the dais. And so a similar draft memo has been worked on since then to begin to address the following subjects. Create a definition for what build-to-rent is, establish similar architectural and monotony controls for that build-to-rent product, because at the end of the day, a build-to-rent product is essentially a small single-family home, usually maybe 1,200 square feet in size, but it's an individual unit, just very closely spaced with all the other units on the same property. So establishing similar architectural monotony controls as we did with the single-family detached units for the 40-foot wide lots. Include site planning principles, how to establish a BTR, and how should it be designed essentially from a horizontal layout. Establish landscaping principles, what kind of landscaping do we need to see in a BTR so that it's not just clumps of small housing units and then parking lots. And then how it'll be applicable to MPUDs and conditional use permits that might be issued for a build-to-rent community, and applicability in Euclidean rezonings as well. And so that's kind of the draft memo that was put together back in August, September of 2022. Since I think about November, the memo has been shared with a few stakeholders in the development community. I have received some comments back, but there is some anticipation that this memo is going to have additional conversation. And here we are.
Commissioner Oakland.
Yeah, I think I brought that along because I live in a estates of Fort King right now. There are 50-foot lots and parking issues, landscape issues. I mean, and are the houses up to speed far as requirements for single-family homes? Because the worry is not necessary now, but 15, 20 years from now, what are these homes going to look like? And are they going to end up a blighted area because they're rental homes and no one's pretty much taking care of it? So what do we charge that rental company or those owners to take care of in the future so it doesn't become blighted? So I think it's very important on that issue. I also think we need to look at just 40 and 50-foot lots in general that are not just for rent, but also those homes. We've got a lot in the flow that's coming to us. If we're not careful, we'll look like the back streets of city of New York and places of that nature. We don't want to look like that. So we do want space. And we're going to get a point we'll be saturated with these 40 and 50-foot lots, and they're not affordable homes. So we need to pay attention to what we're doing in the future so we don't make them all like that. So I don't think our county needs that.
Commissioner Oakley is a great comment to that, because I tell you, driving in today, I specifically drove a different way where I can actually drive by a place that does have the 40 and 50-foot lots. Just driving down the side, saw a series of homes, and on it there were 3 vehicles parked on the street that couldn't have room in the driveway. It's going to be a continual problem.
Right.
I know we got at least one coming up today to hear as well, but I think we should look at eliminate the 40 and 50s. We need to make sure the driveway length is going to be appropriate for a couple of cars to fit in, because let's face it, family starts out, kids get cars, there's no room, and the intensity of a neighborhood where you don't have room to park, or the kids can't have a place to ride their bike safely because you got a truck blocking it from the sidewalk going by, it is something that's a big problem. And what type of county do we want to be? We suffer right now in Regency Park and let's say Embassy, where you've got homes that were built for small retired couples, and now you've got families that have moved in, and you can look at the yards that have cars parked in the yardway because there's nowhere else to go, and it just is not what we want to see. So I think this commission, especially with 2 new board members, it's time to like say, okay, what do we want to see for the long term? And Mike, as you mentioned, as Commissioner Oakley just did, what happens in a few years? Let's say this rental community goes downhill and someone flips it to somebody else, and all of a sudden they're not taking care of it anymore. Or if they want to go flip and go back to now they're going to go start selling the homes to convert them over, which they could do. The great thing is, as far as having controls in there, the rental community maintaining it, but what happens if it doesn't, like an HOA, doesn't have deed restrictions anymore? We've seen what that does to neighborhoods. Go ahead, Commissioner Wayne.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thanks, Tom. Sorry for the interruption, Commissioner Starkman. The issue is in our due diligence, and Commissioner Oakley spot on in his comments, with the build-to-rents that are under common ownership, so they're treated, they're managed as multifamily. So there's not any, the houses that are going, they're not platted. So it really limits the ability, the ability of the investment firm, whoever owns these things, to sell them. They have to sell them as a whole, or however they decide to liquidate their asset. But if this board, considers actually platting these communities and holding them to the single-family design standards, then it gives the ability to sell as a single-family unit, or sell the property as a whole, depending on their business model. So it's just all.
Good comment. Commissioner
So
Starkey?
I've just started asking more in depth about this subject and restrictions, and I'm going to 100% support the architectural requirements. Also, I'm looking at the next metro product that's at 54 in the Suncoast, and I don't know how they met the tree requirements. And so do we allow them to just wipe out all the trees and pay into the tree mitigation trust fund? I don't know that that's such a good thing, so I agree that we have to have some minimum landscaping requirements. But as far as platting and unplatting, when I talked to my son this morning, who is a pretty smart guy as far as real estate goes, he said we are better protected in these when they're unplatted because it's under single ownership, and therefore it's one company managing everything. When you have companies like BlackRock and these other ones that came into the county and bought up hundreds of homes in all these different neighborhoods, it's a nightmare for us to hold them accountable for each individual home's upkeep. Although I think I want to talk to you about getting the rental registry back under our purview. But in a build for rent, when they're unplatted, my husband was calling them a deconstructed apartment complex. And so I think we're safer having them unplatted. We have one coming up this afternoon that's a little different animal with American Homes for Rent, because they are building single family homes that look just like any neighborhood that is platted. But they never sell. Apparently they just build their inventory and just keep them, and there's a lot of money behind that company. But I agree with Commissioner Waitman. We just need to make sure that these are good products that are getting developed, and our attorneys can now weigh in on what we can do and can't do, because I know there's some state law. So would these get caught up in that?
What I wanted to add was, you may want to think in this discussion about the infrastructure for these homes. Because currently, the streets that serve them are considered driveways and parking lots like a multifamily apartment complex.
Yeah, that's just
And-
that's just all parking.
And that's going to, you know, that's, if you're developing a sort of a single family to rent community, the parking issues that you've experienced in single family projects, which has been a problem, is going to be magnified if your widths of your streets is narrow, is even further narrow because they're driveways and not meeting any kind of a street standard.
Yeah, so maybe we need some kind of matrix on parking
Okay.
spots, yeah.
Commissioner Bradford.
Well, this is one of those subjects that I had an interest when I showed up, and we have spent the last couple of weeks studying this issue, reading all the material that we can, prepared by my staff, and so huddled in the corner and trying to read all the memos. So I guess the question I have is today, not the future, but today, the memo that we have done, that we operate under, right? Is that how we are approving projects, or these discussions and revamping of the memo of understanding for the future? Is that where we're going? Where's the guide from our county government on what you think?
So the existing memorandum that was issued back in March specifically exempted the build-to-rent product type because it was multifamily, and that memo was specifically geared towards single-family detached. So technically speaking, the existing memo is only aimed at single-family detached and therefore does not apply to this multifamily product type. However, in various conversations that we have had with developers, the question and concern has been raised about the appearance of the build-to-rents and the general concerns, particularly, as Commissioner Starkey noted, the tensions between parking and landscaping in these product types. And so they have acquiesced to certain types of demands and or cautionary statements from the Planning and Development Department to change their products a little bit to make sure that what they build is not going to be monotonous, or what they build is going to include a healthy amount of landscaping, etc. However, there isn't a clean directive yet to do that. It's all sort of, this is what the Planning and Development Department is experiencing. These are the different narratives that we're hearing from the community, from the elected officials, etc. And then the developers take account of that feedback and they make their various adjustments. But there isn't a specific direction yet issued by the Board of County Commissioners on the BTRs.
Mr. Chair, I think that the sooner we're able to do that and include all the different aspects of from trees to parking to congestion of roads to the public safety response, the sooner we get this done, the better it's going to be for our county. So I think we really need to make it a priority.
Well, let's draw back to one at a time. I think the aesthetics is good. I don't think there should be exemption from the multi-film to the regular. Let's put the same standards in place. So we can, if you can make that available so we can talk about it even like today, that would be good. But let's talk about the 40 and 50-foot lots. Clearly, the tighter compact they are, whether it be rental community or even other community, those yards are like so small for any kids to ever play in. Never mind parking, never mind trees or any type of landscaping going on there. And frankly, if we set a standard to say we don't want to see any more 40s and 50s, the market would adjust immediately. They're going to say, okay, we know we can't get 40s and 50s, so we're not going to overpay for land, which drives up prices, and go further. If we make a statement, we're done with the 40s and 50s because of all the issues they've caused, the word about the blight that's going to happen in 15, 20 years, then let's deal with it right now. Before we have another improvement come before the board, let's just eliminate the 40s and 50s, and let's let them move on.
Well, I would like you to consider this. We went to a matrix where we had percentages. I think if you're coming in with, say, X amount of houses, maybe you still allow a few 40s because that allows for some affordability. And maybe the matrix changes for, you know, let's say you have 100 homes, you know, 4 are 40s, 20 are 50s, and the rest are 60s or something. But if we don't allow any 40s, we're gonna have a lot of people who can't afford to live here. So we should allow some.
Consider this.
Very-
Consider this. If you put a world countywide thing of no 40s and 50s, every land acquisition person that's going out there to work for whatever the builder product's going to be, they know they can only get so many units. They know that already. They're going to then put their value to it. Now, and the market tells you units, units, units. That's what they all go by. If you take the units and make them from 40s and 50s are gone, now it's 60 plus, you're going to make the adjustments happen financially. So I don't think it changes affordability. The affordability of, I think, a builder buying a piece of property is going to be whatever the market's going to bear, they're going to pay. That's where it's going to go. I think what we're talking about is what's going to happen in 15, 20 years. Like your reaction when I talked about Regency and Embassy, how bad it is for those families, and it's affordable housing. They're all jammed in there, but look at the yards. You got trees, trucks. I mean, there's no trees, there's trucks and dirt because people are parking in the yard because they have no other way to go. So as far as affordability goes, I think you change the market if you say, here's where we want to be. And I can tell you of some communities I know up north, when they changed it to say, we're only going to do acre lots or 2 acre lots, that didn't hurt anybody.
Well, an acre lot,
I'm just
that
saying
would
it's
be
big.
100% sprawl.
I'm saying up north, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is by changing it and putting a standard to it, it didn't hurt the community around it.
And then I want to talk about parking, but Commissioner Oakley has his hand up.
You're talking about 40 and 50-foot lots being affordable. They're not. Those houses are not affordable. I'm in a rent zone and I pay $2,400 a month for 1,200 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, sure. There's no room inside basically and no room outside. I mean, your backyard's, shoot, probably a 20 by 20. I mean, there's no room there. There's no place to really live. So if you're expecting people to really live there like they do in some of our older homes that have bigger lots, it's not happening on that size lot. So I don't know where we find how to change that, but we can't keep doing it. We're gonna have these houses everywhere, just like this. No parking, no yard to play in, no landscaping, no architectural values. I mean, those have to come with it. But none of these are affordable we're talking about. And we do need affordable lots.
So, on the subject of affordability, and I think maybe I'll direct my staff to start looking into this a little more and some research. I've been talking to some of the counties, and I know that that Palm Beach County. So let me back up a little bit. When we had DRIs, Development of Regional Impacts, I don't know who here remembers what DRIs are. 10% of that, if you came in with the DRI, 10% of that had to be considered affordable housing. When we went away with DRIs, the mandate to build affordable housing went away. We do have the ability to put it back in. We waive it, right? Every time someone comes in. There are counties who have put back in a matrix of, say, if you're coming in to build X amount of houses, 5% or whatever has to be considered affordable housing. I truly believe we need to be looking at that. And affordable housing can come in as like what we did in Longleaf with ADUs, as accessory dwelling units, a little apartment over a garage, you know, if it's a rear loaded product, very easy to do. Or Lennar had a whole product that they were going to bring in Wesley Chapel that had a little granny flat added on to that side of the house with a separate entrance. I mean, there's ways to do it that it melts right into a community, and I think we should have that discussion.
And I'll say, as far as the granny flats, that idea, I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. Because Sometimes the seniors get a little bit older, they don't want to put them in a nursing home, they can't afford it, or just don't want to go.
Yeah.
But if they're right now beside the family, got their own entrance, their own parking spot, I think it's a great concept to
Yeah,
put
you
in.
get a college student, a boomerang, they get a little more privacy,
Yeah.
or whatever, so.
So, yeah, those, I'm perfectly willing to work with those to get in there. But again, back to 40 and 50-foot lots to what it's going to be for down the road. And like you say, with affordability, we approved a bunch of apartments we thought were going to be affordable too. How'd that work out? People are paying through the roof.
We are getting Class A apartments, not workforce housing.
Okay, so I mean, it's tough to control exactly what's going to go on. But bottom line is, if you want to have 40 and 50-foot lots around your whole area, if you think it's bad now with the residential issues that they got with parking, try to imagine being a renter and you have no place to park, and you park where your neighbor's gonna park where you, or the neighbor's kid can't go by. I mean, they say it's not gonna work out great, but the tighter you keep people, the tighter it's gonna be, and when the renters get past the homeowners, that combustion is ready to explode.
I have some houses, now these are the older houses, so they're probably 50 foot, 60 foot in Holiday and in Elfers. I can show you a picture of one. The whole front yard of the house is car, truck. There's like 6 of them parked across the front. It's horrible. I've got one who I think is selling cars out of their front yard, but they cover them with covers. It's right next to Fasano's tax office, if you want to drive by there sometime on 19. So they put a cover over every car. So the whole front yard is cars with covers on them.
Yeah.
We shouldn't allow that.
Just for an example, I'm talking in general, we have a project coming this afternoon, which we'll talk about at that time. We'll discuss that at the time. But they're coming for zoning. So they don't have the zoning, but the project's a 40 and 50 foot lot subdivision. How is that already approved if we got to do the zoning after the fact? Was it approved for that project, or the fact comes after we do the zoning? Because if we don't do the zoning, they can't do that project. Just in general. So,
hang on, let me try to get an answer first for Commissioner Oakley.
so Terry, if, and it can be any project, doesn't matter which one. Are they already approved for 40, 50 foot lots based on their pre-application and all without zoning?
No, the approval comes with the zoning itself, so nothing proceeds unless the Board of County Commissioners approves it. What we generally see is plans that illustrate feasibility. So this is what our layout can look like if we were to get this zoning approved.
Right.
So they might come in with a concept plan, for example, or a yield plan, as it's sometimes known, in order to illustrate how many units they can fit, in order for us to be able to calculate density and then report to the board and enable the board to make the decision that the board will make. So it's not pre-approval on the part of the Planning and Development Department. Now, some of these projects, they do come forward with recommendations of approval because these are projects that are similar. There's precedence, in other words, from previous approvals in other places, or the projects meet land development code regulations and or are consistent with the comprehensive, well, they would have to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. And so based on that criteria, there would be a recommendation to approve it, but they're not approved. Only the board can approve them.
Okay. So the one that came off, was it Hayes Road over there with Collier? That was a project, was 40 and 50 foot lots. It didn't get approved, so based on zoning, I guess. So
Yeah,
I mean, if they would have gone
right.
to larger lots in there, that I think it would have been approved.
Yeah, that one was denied. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Commissioner Waitman had a question first. Let me get to him first. Commissioner Waitman?
Thank you all. So I get drilled back in for a more direct discussion, but I'd like to understand now the timeline, the consensus, maybe go to a consensus, have a tight timeline on adopting or adding the rental homes into the current memo that's in place.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know what the if I need to make a motion, or me vote to direct staff to say, hey, next board meeting, let's figure out something and address it much sooner than later.
So let me.
That's a county administrator.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me speak to that if I could, and thank you very much, Commissioner. So I think it's important to know that the Planning and Development Department has been leaning forward on this, both in terms of working with developers in the absence of formal rules. So, you know, kudos to them for doing that. I think we continue to work on this memo. I hear it. It's a priority. So we accelerate that. It's important that we talk to industry about some of the issues that have been raised today, because we do want to have, at least try to build a consensus on that. I mean, I don't want to throw a timeline out there, but I understand. Next board meeting is probably too soon, but perhaps the next board meeting after that, we could probably have some things that are gelled enough that we're ready to have a discussion based on what we've heard today. Community, aesthetics, and as Mr. Steinsnyder points out, having the infrastructure in place is really the key, because we can't go back in and build the roads, the sewers, and the size and character of the neighborhood after the fact. And if really what the point of this policy is to, at some future date, should this become a blighted, how do you reverse that? And it's much easier to reverse that with the infrastructure in place. And so whether we plat or not to plat, 40-foot lots, 50-foot lots, we can have those discussions. But I think the important thing is the aesthetics and the infrastructure that are in play, and some guidelines. So as these communities develop, we can try to find a win-win. So it'd be my suggestion that maybe let's let planning and development continue their process. We'll accelerate based on the feedback we've gotten here today, and we'll sit with you individually maybe in 2 to 3 weeks on what we have found out, and then figure out what our next steps are.
Okay. Mr. Starkey.
I got two things I want to say. One on the 40s, 50s, 60s. So, and I know we're doing a comp plan revision, but I wonder if it's inappropriate to put 40s outside of where we wanted to direct density to. Seems to me it would be. And have we been approving 40-foot lots where maybe we're not trying to have it real dense? So, you know, the 54 corridors where ULI said to put density, we did, for political reasons, I think, expand some of those zones up the different highways a little bit. But that's where we said we wanted density, but maybe we don't need 40 foots in other places. So that's one. And two, when I brought this up to my son, and it's funny because I've had this discussion with Terry and with other people, he's like, you need to go to a form-based code. And code? I am going to tell you, I think our staff would love if we moved to a form-based code. And Terry, you and I have had that discussion, and can you describe what that is so that the other commissioners can know what that is, and I think would make everyone's life easier?
So a form-based code, I'm going to try to condense a lot in just a few short words. A form-based code is a code that is more concerned with the form of the building, how much mass it takes up along a street frontage, for example, versus the use that is on site. And in a form-based code, you're more prescriptive in terms of the design of the building, and saying that the building has to be yay high, sit on a lot so wide, must be set back or build to a particular line. And those are some very basic features of a form-based code. And then what ends up moving into the building, and this is mostly true for like non-residential structures, what ends up moving into the building is of secondary concern. Generally, now there's different degrees of form-based codes, but the real key thing about a form-based code is that it is extremely predictable. Everybody can envision what a particular neighborhood or a particular street will look like. Developers know exactly what the municipality or the jurisdiction is looking for. The community knows what to expect. And the government knows what is ultimately going to get approved or not approved. And so you're much more easily, you're able to move through the process a lot faster as a result of that, generally speaking, for form-based codes. So there's a there's a performative advantage to a form-based code as well.
Brad, would you add anything to that? Because I know you and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I know you and I have talked about it too. I've talked about it with Terry and I've talked about it with you.
Yes, hi, Brad Tippin, Planning Development. I just reiterate what Terry said, and just kind of the emphasis there is that instead of us regulating what use goes in what place, we're regulating the performance standards. You can put something there as long as, you know, it's not making excessive noise for the neighbors. You know, you set those standards, and then it doesn't matter what use goes there. And you focus on the design features and what you want the area to look like, and as long as they can meet that, they can essentially do whatever they want to do inside the building. And it takes a layer of the problems that we have trying to coordinate that out. It creates, very much so, creates a predictable design for people that are purchasing properties, predictable designs for you know, people that are developing properties, and eases the review process pretty substantially.
Someone told me that Pinellas County just used form-based code in their new plan for Palm Harbor. And it's a big success. I don't remember who told me that.
Yeah, I don't have the details on it, but that, I've heard that as well. That form-based code has been used in various parts of Pinellas County and other parts of Florida, of course.
Yeah, and my brother-in-law, Frank Starkey, he's been advocating for that for a long time. So throwing that out there, I think it's very good for us to consider looking at that.
It's probably not a bad conversation, but something that concerns me a little bit is sometimes you may have some code issues when you talk about noise.
Well, you can put
It's hard enough to get a loud bar playing music at a certain time to get someone to go out there with the decibels and saying, okay, it's too loud. Turn the music down, put something on, they leave, they gotta go put it back on again. So to try to have code trying to monitor that, I think is gonna be difficult. The other fact you may come across is, let's say you're gonna allow a business to go into where normally be kind of more residential, and maybe it starts out to be a smaller business, and all of a sudden you get semi-trucks dropping off supplies. Who's gonna monitor that? So I think it's still gonna be difficult to make that go away. I think you may just create another set of problems. I think when we have setbacks, when you have allowances, how long a driveway would be, some tolerances to that, sight lines that we sometimes have out there, if you need to look at those closer, so be it, but I'm willing to have the discussion, but I want to caution you.
We just need to learn more about
there are things that you just can't say, well, could put anything there. And an example of one that worked was as you drive into Foxhole Golf Club, on the left-hand side, there's an industrial building that's there doing work, heavy-duty commercial. It was set up that way at the start of the MPD. Everybody knew it was going to be there, and I've yet to see a single thing of any negativity from that building. So that one actually did work, so it could work. You know, Dr. Gills, Lou Friedland, et cetera, they built Fox Hollow with that guy in mind, and that thing was set up there. Haven't seen a problem, never heard of any issues with that. So it could work, but again, be careful how we do it.
That's a very good point. You hit the nail on the head. That is the main concern that you hear with this type of zoning and this type of review that we would do. However, that's where the performance standards come into play. We articulate the performance standards. For example, all work has to occur indoors. You know, certain number of trips that can be generated, types of trips that can be generated, those types of things you can do in performance standards that if they're not meeting the performance standards, you can shut them down. So it creates a different level, so it's not somebody standing out there with a decibel meter, you know, on the roadside. That's very difficult to do right now. But it does you can create some performance standards in different communities. They can differ for different areas based on what that area is meant to be. If there's something that's a little less residential going in a little more residential area, you can change those performance standards a little bit. So you can end up kind of handling a lot of that stuff so that it doesn't become the issue. It's a kind of a complex thing to think about. But we can certainly, you know, if you'd like to know more about it, we can sit down and talk about some of those details.
I think we should have someone come in and educate us that is very knowledgeable and show some examples of form-based code. I know in my discussions with the planning staff, it would make their life a lot easier. And I've heard that from people in the development community. I think it might be a very good thing.
I mean, I wouldn't mind looking at it. I know Connected Cities, one of the things we tried to work on when they were coming in, you wanted to have a business that could start in an area, run the business in that residential area, depending on what it was. I haven't heard a complaint from Connected Cities, anything going on in there, so maybe it worked there, and maybe we can look at that as a model to go further, where they could then grow in their business and I know it's early in the stages, but again, I haven't heard a negative thing, anyone in connected cities that's, taken that approach yet. So I'm willing to listen and learn.
We did kind of try to do that. It was kind of
It was unique.
a blend of that to kind of bring
Sure.
that into play. So it does seem like it is working, and it's something that we can certainly sit down.
I'm willing to listen and learn.
Good.
Okay. Commissioner Bradford.
Mr. Chair, I think in our quest to discharge our duties, which I'm still learning to do, I think just one thing I do know is certainty is our friend. We have certainty. We don't have certainty in the stock market, it goes up and down. We don't have certainty in interest rates from the feds. They make a suggestion and the interest rate goes up. All these uncertainty affects our markets. When we have uncertainty on the board as we direct our development community and how we build Pasco County, I think the more certain we can, not to take away our responsibilities, not to take away our decision-making power, but if we can look at a neighborhood and say, this is the multi-use project event that's going to go on this property, and it's completely like the last three we did. I think that brings a lot of certainty to neighbors, to the existing residents that we have here. And ultimately, it's the balance. It's our growth, it's our existing residents, so it's something we need to tackle, and I fully support Commissioner Waitman and Commissioner Starkey. I look forward to being educated more in that process.
Very good. Okay. While we're on it, do you want to talk about MPUDs now? Actually, before we go there, Commissioner Waitman, this is under your committee report. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
No, I appreciate Commissioner Oakley's comments. Again, he's spot on. He has direct experience with the concern that I have. And that's why I think it's important that we address this issue sooner than later, because folks who are in communities that are right next door, they look at it like it's an ancient problem. That's Joe's problem. This is a single family community, in 10, 15 years from now, what are we looking at here? We don't want any negative impacts on their investment on their single family home. So I just heard staff and requested for the timely, expeditious response and solution to this problem. And that we not, get too far down the line, because these projects are coming in hot and heavy. Folks see Pasco is a great place to make investment, which is wonderful. However, I just want to ensure that we have a quality product in a good place for folks to live and live their dream here in Pasco County.
Very good. No, we appreciate that, and I think the county administrator is agreeing to move very quickly to bring it back to us, not the next meeting, but the meeting after, and I think it's pretty noble of that effort. Okay.
Do we pay him overtime?
No, we pay him well, though.
Yeah, his time's our time.
Yeah, I never read his contracts, I'm just asking.
Are you wanting a discussion on MPUDs? Is that?
MPUDs, PDs, yes.
And it is.
In what context? I mean, the team is making progress in terms of clearing the backlog. We did get some very nice feedback from the Builders Association that the efforts of our surgeon staff and the review of site plans and MPUDs is bearing fruit. So we are continuing to make efforts to clear those backlogs.
But I am concerned that your efforts are going to burn out our employees.
And
Because it's asking them to work a lot of extra time.
And we are sensitive to that. And of course, Sally, Terry, and myself are discussing ways that we can try to trim, areas that we don't necessarily need to necessarily be reviewing. But more importantly, we are stepping up recruiting efforts and trying to make sure that we are getting our staff to full strength. It's a very difficult employment market, but we continue to try to be innovative in those respects.
And we had a conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I wanted to comment while Terry's up there. This morning, we had someone speak about arterials and collectors. You know, the issue that we have with our transportation, in my opinion, is that we don't have enough connectivity. And so everybody has to go on the same roads. If you look at if you look at Newport Richie and Holiday and Tampa, St. Pete, there's a million different ways you can get somewhere. And so you don't have these backups. But when we don't require our communities to connect to each other, everybody has to go out on the same road, and that's not a good plan.
Yeah.
So we really, really need to have more connectivity, especially in a county that has all these big well fields and limited mobility. Gotta have the connectivity. We're gonna be jammed on every single road if we don't have alternative ways through communities.
And I'll say,
You still have Mr. Kabbalah and the attorney and the clerk about their old business?
yeah. I'm delighted we're having this discussion, those big.
Right.
And as far as like the Aaron Cutoff Road, et cetera, think about everybody heading north from Land O'Lakes. They get to 5241, how jammed up is that
Yeah.
And now we get
It's
some
horrible.
improvements coming.
It's horrible.
If you didn't have Aaron Cutoff, how many more trips would you have going to the same intersection? The more of those we can provide, I agree, we need to have them all, every step of the way.
Yeah, we just need more.
Yeah, we had a gentleman tell us one time that Aaron Cutoff was not a cutoff road,
Yeah,
but it's been a cutoff road my entire life. So.
a neighborhood road,
Yeah.
But if there were other ways to get around, and you didn't have to go on Aaron Cutoff, that would be even better. And I think we will have one, because it'll be coming through Connerton, and it'll come across, right? So there's another road that you can go east and west on.
Yeah, Ridge Road will terminate at that intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we're gonna be looking, hopefully coming up, that we're gonna be taking from Ridge Road at 41 through Connerton, all the way out to 75, which will then go all the way to overpass, all the way to 301, and you'll have another road going across that could make a huge difference for a lot of travel.
Speaking of that, I was asked today, where are we on the construction of the second part of Ridge Road? Are there any plans?
Yes, so I believe, and I can probably get a better update for you later this afternoon, but you know, our plans are pretty much ready to advertise. We're working out some funding mechanisms to see if we can't go to bid here in late winter, early spring of this year currently.
Yeah. Overpass Road's supposed to be at its opening on end of January is what I hear, so.
That'd be great for that area too.
That will be. Very good. All right, so I'm going to just talk MPUDs from conversations that I've had with our team. I want to make sure that when we're doing the advertising of the signs, which I know Terry's working on getting new stuff, not only do the signs need to be done clearly where people can see them and access them to go read them. Coming in today on 52, there's one to the north of 52, and we talked about having these signs perpendicular to the road so you can see it driving by. There's one on 52 when you go back home. It's sitting flat to the road. You don't see it until you're past it, pretty much, and then it's not what we said. It should be a double-sided, so you can see it both ways coming to and from. They're going to be bigger. I don't know how long it's going to take to get them, but we need to make sure that's going to happen quickly. When we do meetings for a community meeting, I'm expecting, and I think the intent was of this board, that we don't want to have neighborhood meetings to go by neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood. If it affects a whole area that's all connected, everybody in one meeting is going to be able to voice and listen to a presentation, not divided up to divide and conquer all the way around. And that we need to fix that and make sure that's clear. People that buy in an MPUD, there's a certain public reliance on what they bought, whether it be 5 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's all laid out. To make a change like that is a monster move. And it better be clear that everybody understands what was done before. And we need to make sure when having a presentation from staff, they look at it. Before you're going to have even the meeting for the people, it says in our code, a concept plan must be accompanied when the application's done. And I need to make sure that we're going to start making those steps.
You've moved on to future land use and not MPDs.
All right. Go back to PD.
So easy to get that on.
All right.
So,
Anyway, so I'm
I was
gonna-
actually trying to help. The
No, I
commissioner's
appreciate
point
it.
on that one was the concept plan, the way our comp plan is written, the concept plan for a PD future land use is required during that submittal. And at some point, we've relied on the MPUD rather than requiring the concept plan in the PD.
So I want to try to encourage staff to look, if you don't have the paperwork properly submitted, just like a regular permit application or something else, if it's not done the way it's supposed to be done, then you put the brakes on until it's done the way it's supposed to be done. And don't feel forced just because you're getting pressure to get an MPU done. If it's not done the right way, then it's going to wait until it's done the right way, and then it can proceed. Because there's a process, and it's a good process, but if it's not followed, any one of those steps is missed, it causes angst amongst our people. And we're right here to represent the people. We're the final end as commission, but we're counting on staff to make sure that things are going to be done the way they're supposed to be done. So I just want to give you support that don't be afraid to put the brakes on. If you're not getting something done the right way, then take the power. We're empowering you to make sure it's done the right way. Everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to say that, Sally, I greatly appreciate your work with Mr. Koenig. You're supplying him all the information he needs to kind of work with us to try to give us some ideas. I appreciate the dialogue back and forth to improve our system as well. He's very animated, as we all saw, but he's also very factual, and he's working with you, and I appreciate you working with him to help us improve the system and whatever ideas you may come up with. I really appreciate that progress we've made. And with that, I'm going to talk to my committee appointments, and I'm very excited about them.
Did you finish? Did he didn't give his stuff, she didn't give his, you're last.
All right, so the way they got it listed here is I go next. So I'm just going to follow that.
Oh, they changed it?
They did.
I think the chair ought to just do what he wants to
All
do.
right.
I'm gonna.
Well, there was a formula, but-
The new agenda, they went this way, so I'm just gonna go along that way. So for the appointments, I'll pass them out, I think pretty much. This way, when I pass yours to you, but I'm sorry about your luck. Okay, so on Area on Aging, Commissioner Bradford. Yep, sorry. Commissioner Bradford, Canvassing Board is all of us. Department of Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board, Commissioner Bradford. Drug Dependency Drug Treatment Court Planning Committee, Commissioner Bradford. The Early Learning Coalition of Pasco and Hernando Counties, Commissioner Waitman. I think that experience with your children will show help quite a bit. Government Operations Committee, we're all on that. Gulf Coast Consortium Committee, I will stay on that. My alternate will still be Commissioner Oakley. Human Trafficking Committee, Commissioner Bradford. Insurance Selection Committee will be myself. I will be on the Pasco Economic Development Council. Commissioner Starkey will be on the Pasco Economic Development Council Subcommittee International. Pasco Fair Authority, Commissioner Waitman. Pasco Hernando Workforce Board, Commissioner Starkey. I tell you, there's a lot of interest in that, but Commissioner Starkey, we're going to work on that ex officio position to make sure as a commissioner position it's going to be an appointed. I think we're all supportive to what a great job our workforce board is doing. We support it, and I'm looking for you as well as for me to kind of just make sure that we keep that intact.
Yep.
To keep that local effect that we have.
If we have the opportunity.
Yep, we
Could
got
be
some.
out of our hands.
And there will be some meetings coming up. There will be some meetings coming up that if everyone takes a look at that we can all participate in. I recommend we all do.
Yeah.
Property Value Adjustment Board, Commissioner Oakley and Commissioner Waitman. Public Safety Coordinating Council, Commissioner Bradford. Restore Act Advisory Committee, I'll be on that, and Commissioner Waitman will be the alternate.
Okay.
Springs Coast Committee, Commissioner Oakley. Tempe Area Regional T-Barta, still Commissioner Starkey. Right now, we're keeping you on there for whatever happens. I'm going to stay on the Temporary Estuary Program just because we've got so many things we're working on between baffle boxes. Eventually, I see that going to Commissioner Waitman down the road, but for right now, we're working on. I don't want to change that. Tempe Partnership, Commissioner Starkey. I will stay on the Tempe Regional Planning Council. I will tell you, with all the resiliency stuff going, I'm very excited to stay and keep that moving forward. Tempe Water, I have Commissioner Oakley and Waitman. Tourist Development Council, I will chair that. And Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, Commissioner Waitman. Underwriting Selection Committee, Commissioner Waitman. And the Withlacoochee Trail Advisory Board, Commissioner Oakley.
I want to see those reports on the Withlacoochee State Trail Advisory Board.
So I want to thank you all for giving me your feedback. I think we've got a great selection. It's not quite what everybody wanted, but I think it's pretty close. And I think with everybody's in the position, they're going to do great service for the county.
Yeah, it's perfect for me. Thank you. As I had mentioned, going on the board of NACO, that's going to require some additional amount of my time. So appreciate Commissioner Waitman taking my spot on Tampa Bay Water. And is it 12 o'clock? No. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, and you know, Commissioner Starkey, you do serve Florida Association of Counties very well. Your involvement there definitely has an effect for us and gives us great information. Your participation with NACO is tremendous, and it just helps when we go travel to have those connections and that extra leverage. So I'm glad you're willing to lighten your schedule a little bit so you can focus on the new stuff that's just been handed your way too.
Yeah,
so
thank you very
congratulations on all that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If I can get 2 clarifications on your list.
Okay.
Canvassing board, statutorily, it is the chairman's duty unless they have unless you have a conflict.
Okay.
In the last several years, we have not fielded a board member for that due to conflicts. These coming up municipals, unless you're backing somebody in a municipal race, you wouldn't have the conflict of running. Or,
Okay.
So I would appreciate someone from the board being designated as the canvassing board member.
So at this point in time, I have no backing, so I'll take the position then. So I'll
If
nominate
you-
myself for
if you wanna-
canvassing board.
If you want to do that, that would be great.
Okay.
And though I would love to be relieved of the responsibility, the Pasco County Consolidated Justice Information Board, where you have NA, you had previously appointed the county attorney.
Okay.
Rather than a board member, and I still need an appointment if you wish me to serve.
I will love you to serve. I will appoint Attorney Jeff Steinschneider to the County Consolidated Justice Info Board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I thank you, sir. As always, your details are tremendous. Okay, from that, we're going to go to the county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick items. On the public safety front, our correction center received rave reviews from the Florida Model Jail Standards inspectors following an annual inspection. The inspection team spent 2 days going in and out of the facility and noted the high level of professionalism and positive morale by our team members. The entire staff showed a high level of respect and maintained a professional demeanor, and that the jail was managed in an orderly fashion and noise was at a minimum. So props to our jail team. Also on public infrastructure, the Holiday Hills stormwater project has commenced, so we're excited to see that come to fruition. And finally, Animal Services is reintroducing its Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, and Return program for feral cats. So for those of you that have seen feral cats running around, this is a program where we capture those, we spay, neuter them, and then release them back. So kind of trying to stop the program, stop the cycle, if you will. So we're happy to be able to reintroduce that program. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chair. Thank you. Commissioner Bradford.
Yesterday, I was down in Human Resources Personnel myself, taking care of some paperwork, and a young man was there signing up for a correctional officer job here with the county. So we sat down and talked and had a great conversation, and I won't share his name, I won't do any of that, but I said, go get about 15, 20 friends of yours that are your caliber, and I know a place that can use them. So the word's out there, and let's get it done.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Excellent.
We appreciate that support.
Excellent. Yes, we do. And County Attorney.
I don't have anything. I may have something this afternoon, but right now I don't have anything for you.
Okay. And Clerk of Comptroller.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out to the board, we have 2 Inspector General audits on the agenda. They are filed in your noted items. N128 and N141. In the past, we've put them on consent, but when we went through the peer review, they told us to move them into noted items. So I wanted to make you aware of those. Both of those audits went very well. One was the N128 was an audit of your is unannounced cash count audits. We audited 11 change funds within your public service areas, so included some libraries and some parks. And there were some recommendations provided to tighten up some internal controls. Your team was wonderful. We just wanted to say thank you. They had some great cooperation. There was wonderful professional courtesy and also good responsiveness. So thank you to Kathy Pearson and her team for that. And then in N141, that was a follow-up audit from a utilities warehouse inventory. And out of that audit, which was a year ago, we had made some recommendations to strengthen some internal controls, and your team did just that. So on the follow-up, you could check all the boxes. They implemented internal controls to strengthen their procedures on that. And again, we appreciate their cooperation, professional courtesy, and also very responsiveness. So thank you to Branford Duma and your team for that audit as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item I have here is for the Sheriff's Office. I don't see anyone from the Sheriff's Office here. No? Okay, no comments for them? All right, so I'm just going to give two more items, which I didn't know if we have time for, but I will now. One, I would just like to say we had a great meeting yesterday with the Hudson Industrial Park. It's the one located in New York and Hicks Avenue. I had a gentleman from New York come down, talk about working with our local people with the property to go develop what could be some great jobs and some great opportunities. That conversation went well. They're going to work with us closely. Mike, I guess this is good for you and Terry. The Hicks Road land that we need, they're willing to donate it or exchange it with us, et cetera. They're also willing to work with us to try to, if we have some excess fill that we have on certain projects, that we can get into that area to kind of raise that level up, because it does sit down a little bit low. Could be beneficial for both us and them. That'll be coming up in the near future. And I did have another person talk about doing a community garden, only larger scale, in that Magnolia Valley area. So they'll be working with us as well to kind of see if we can cut down the expense for our people and maybe even supply better food for our people all around. And with that, we're adjourned till 1:30.
Good.
Pasco County waterways and wildlife depend on you to keep them healthy. Excess fertilizer, grass clippings, trash, oil,